And welcome to a new episode of InnoUpdate. My name is Maarten Kors and InnoUpdate is all about corporate innovation. And today's topics are the Lean Startup Principles. This is Eric Ries and he has written the book The Lean Startup, where he describes all the best practices of startups he has observed. And maybe you think, okay, but startups, I'm within a large corporation, it's all about corporate innovation, but I think large corporations can learn from these startup principles. So the first principle is entrepreneurs are everywhere. So you don't have to work in a garage or Silicon Valley to be an entrepreneur. Even within large companies, you have a lot of entrepreneurs. We call them intrapreneurs. And the aim of innovation departments, innovation teams, is to support these entrepreneurs, to let them become successful. Because when you let them become successful, your corporation will be successful. The second principle is entrepreneurship is management. A startup is an institution, it's not just a product, so it requires management. And it's different management than the management of your corporation. So keep in mind, so innovation is not just about hocus pocus magic and then an idea and sparks and creativity. No, it's structured way and innovation management. And one of the parts of this structured way of innovation management is validated learning. Because startups exist not to make stuff or to make money or to serve customers, they exist to learn how to build a sustainable business. And this learning can be by validating scientifically. So you have to run experiments and you have to test each part of your vision. And that's basic for each startup. So validate all your assumptions of your business model, of your vision. And you do that by getting out of the building. And there's also another way of accounting, another way of measuring your success. A different way instead of the accounting or the measurements or the KPI of a large corporation. And it's boring for most of the innovators. You have to measure your progress, and it's hard, it's tough to measure progress, to see the right metrics, not vanity metrics, but the good metrics. How to measure your milestones. And it requires a new kind of accounting. We will dive deeper into innovation accounting later on. The fundamental activity of a startup is to turn ideas into products, to measure that, how customers respond, and then to learn whether you continue with your product or maybe you have to pivot. And this circular loop, this feedback loop, is called build, measure, learn. So the first step is building a problem. You have a problem and then you build a solution. The second step is, okay, then you show this solution, and it's not the solution is not the end solution, it's a minimal viable product. So you have the minimal features of the solution where you can test it with your customers. Then you have to observe these customers. How are they using it? Measure it, and then learn from this data and adjust your product. And the startup who can do this fastest will be the most successful startup. So for example, if you have an idea for an iPhone app, then you go and code, but you're not going to code the whole app. You're not going to sit 6 months in a desk and code. No, you try to make a minimal viable product for 1 week and then maybe a day, maybe even an hour, and then test it. See how the customers are using it. And then use these data which you get and then adjust your product, readjust your product, and then you go to make this loop. So these are the 5 principles for the startups. So the first is entrepreneurs are everywhere. The second one, entrepreneur is management. The fundament of each startup is build, measure, learn. Very important and key is innovation accounting, which is completely different and it's hard. And the last is validating learning. Be a professor, be scientific, be academic about the validation of your assumption, of your business model, of your vision. So what can you learn as a large corporate of this? I think most of these principles you can use within your own startup teams. But a lot of the principles can also be used for the rest of your organization. I think the main challenge is the innovating accounting. That's the hardest thing for most of the companies because there is no one way of accounting. Almost each startup team, each startup has different kind of metrics which you need to apply. So that's hard. We will dive deep into that later on. If you want to know more about the Lean Startup principles, check out the book by Eric Ries, The Lean Startup, or you can get the links in the show notes. Or you can check other videos I've made on this topic. I hope to see you back at a new episode of InnoUpdate, and in the meantime, keep innovating.